Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Sunday chat today has a bit of a mix, but rather than randomly waffling on, it has purpose. So there is more of a point than there often is, shall we say. Point number one, those of you who have been around the channel a while will remember a set of circumstances where a certain shirt was worn on camera that had huge holes in it. And it was pointed out to me. How embarrassing. But it was a favourite shirt. For years I really liked that shirt and could not find a replacement. Well, I've got one now. It dawned on me as I was unpacking my Father's Day shirt from Hannah. It's an exact replica. It's just two simple coloured stripes, very thin. So I've got my favourite shirt back again. That are good. So I thought I'm not going to do a twirl because I'm not plants over. So that's point number one. Excellent. Well appreciated. Right. The next thing on the list is pests. As far as this grow room is concerned, that's mealybugs and scale. I don't get aphids. We had a little burst last year, which didn't last long, that was bought in. I even knew I had them on the plant before I brought them in. But I was warned, I was told they were there, I could see them and they were dealt with. But so I get mealybugs and scale. Now, do I? Last year and the year before, we battled with them. On and on, never ending. Systemic sprays, rubbing alcohol with cotton wool buds, tearing my hair out, even removing parts of the plants because they were so badly infested. Are they here this year? No. There are odd occasions, but not much. Now, there could be two reasons. One, I managed to get rid of them last year, but if they're around, they're around. You know, if you find a few mealybugs on a plant, then you've got them. And the chances are they're elsewhere, you just haven't seen them yet. That's the trouble with types of sprays, you know, soapy wash type things that rely on suffocation. Unless you just spray everything incredibly frequently, you're going to miss some. And even then you might miss some. They'll be back. Yeah. So what's different this year to last year? And the simple answer is, due to advice from a well-respected individual that's no longer doing videos, from Rick, bump up the calcium. Massive collection of orchids outside in a garden full of pests, allegedly. We never got to see them, but they were there apparently, and they weren't treated. And nor were his orchids. And did his orchids have a pest on them? Not one. And he swore that it was due to his bumping up the calcium all the time, calcium nitrate. And we never had any science behind that, as far as I know. I haven't got any science, but all I can say is that bugs are not here this year to any great extent. Not to an extent that I even have got a spray out this year. I've not sprayed for bugs this year yet. It's June already. They'd be in their full flood by now, and they're not. They're not here. Last year, my Hercoglossum, all the new growths just kept getting bugs on them, leaving marks on the leaves, which stay there forever. Yeah? So, bugs down to next to nothing this year. Two possible reasons. The calcium springs to mind, well, I can't prove it. And also, did we get rid of them so well last year that they're just not around this year? But no sprays have been applied this year. So that's that. So that's bugs. You choose how you deal with bugs, quite honestly, and what you do depends on how bad they are. If you've got a few bugs on a plant, you can just get some rubbing alcohol and a cotton bud and physically remove them. And the idea with the alcohol is that as you wipe them off, if there's any eggs lying around, you probably wiped those off as well. So it's a physical removal, but you can only get those you can see. But if you keep at it, they'll be gone eventually because they won't get a chance to breed, will they? You're removing them as fast as they occur. As fast as you see them, you get rid of them. So it should work. Right, consequences of systemic sprays. In addition to bugs last year, we also had some bacterial or fungal infections on some plants. Now, if you think about my Dendrobium hibiki, the one from, it killed it. It took it down. Whatever that infection was, it took it down. So we were using systemic fungicides. Now, the problem with those sort of infections is they're at cellular level on the leaf surface. That's where the damage is done. You can't see that level. You know, you're not even with a magnifying glass. You need a microscope to see down to that level and see that damage. So what's often happening is the damage is already done in places, and you spray, but it's still green. It hasn't discoloured, it hasn't become infected or anything like that, but the damage is done. You just can't see it yet. So you apply your spray, and then your leaves get worse, and you think your spray's not working, so you probably do it again, which doesn't do the plant any good. So you have to bear in mind the cellular damage done by those sort of infections will still show through later. It doesn't just stop because you've done a spray, because the damage is still showing green. So there's that. We also found out the hard way that our Formosae section, our black hair type dendrobiums, don't like systemics. I can show you the result of not liking systemics. It dumped every leaf. Every single leaf on the plant got dumped. The plant's not actually dead, it's trying to bloom. I think it might even be successful, but it hasn't thrown any new growth out yet. The only one it did was in the middle of winter, and that failed. So that plant could be lost as a result of it has 0 leaves. It can't photosynthesize. So unless it gets some new growth growing, that one's a goner. So it can do some serious damage. Systemics are not liked by some plants. They always say if you're going to use any spray, fungicide, pesticide, and along those lines, check that it says for ornamental plants on the label. Otherwise you're pushing your luck with orchids. But some orchids are more fragile than even that, and they might not like the spray. So I found a little set that didn't like it at all. And they weren't in the best of ways, because they'd all had scale. It really hit the black hair type. They'd had scale, so they got hit with the spray. Poor things. Right, but on the subject of what I was spraying against, and this goes on to, right, so hang on, I even wrote a list here, because I want to get it all in one go. Right, as a result of some fungal or bacterial infection, the main result was on the thin leaf stuff, like Oncidium types, you get the spotty leaves. Some are affected more than others. If a leaf gets infected or affected quite badly, the whole leaf will turn yellow and just die, it'll fall off. It's not normally enough to kill a plant, but it can make it look a bit messy, a bit untidy. Now there's a good example here that's got it. It's got the spotting. Now this is one of my twinkles. The spotting is only on the oldest leaves that are going to drop soon. It's unsightly. It's not going to kill the plant. If you come round this side and have a look at the new growths, they're all doing pretty well. And they're all a decent green this year as well. Not all wishy-washy. Yeah, so, you know, no new growths seem to have the spotting, although there's one there, look, that's a new growth, pushing on, coming up to forming a bulb now, but that's got a spot on it, one. So, it's there, and it is an infection. It's got many names, and a lot of them are different things that all look the same. They all result in the same sort of thing. And depending on where you read, the same thing will get called different things, and they'll have a different picture. So it's almost as though there's no definitive answer, quite honestly. I'm happy with that. you also got to bear in mind our times are a-changing. Listen to your news. What are you up to at the moment with all your doors shut, not seeing your mates and everything? Yeah? Well, that affects us. Who's to say there isn't something new in the plant world? Anyway, on to the fungus, possible bacteria type of thing and what it does. This bit's really for William Green and serves yet another purpose. Why I want to get on with this today is that later today I'm supposed to be packing up the orchids to go, ready to take to Postman Pat tomorrow morning, nice and early. That's the theory. They may not all get packed. Some may have to wait till next weekend and have another go. It's a tedious, laborious, horrible job. I don't like it at all. But it's the only way you can post things off. The only way they can arrive at the other end and come out the box. They got to go in the box in such a way that they're going to come out the box at the other end still in one piece. I don't like the job, I'll admit it. That's not why it's been put off till now. It's been put off till now because postal services have been a bit grim. Again, for obvious reasons. So that's that. So we're going to have a look at some of the orchids to go, and I hate to say it that some of them are in this category, have got dodgy leaves on them. So I'm hoping the treatments have worked and that new growths are okay. Well, in one case they don't look like they are, but there's another reason for what's going on. So it's not always the same reason. Right, so this is partly to show William Green that I've got something similar to what he's got. And the first one, it was Sedaria japonica, it's now Phalaenopsis japonica. Oh God, I need to get some light, don't I? There, hopefully you can see, which leaf was it? That one. Does that look very similar to what you've got? It's pitted. It's not just on the surface, it's digging in. It is a pit, each mark. And they go through to the underside too. Yeah? So that leaf's particularly bad. This is a plant to go, so this is what somebody's going to take out of the box soon. The leaf alongside it, if you look underneath, is also not too good, but that one's not so bad on the surface. And since then, the older leaves are okay, down here, so it's obviously something it got that didn't affect the whole plant. Now think that through. Why could that be? How would that be? What else could it be? In this case, I am pretty confident that those two leaves were grown at the time when I had a lot of bugs around. Now if you've got a new shiny leaf, even newer and shinier than that, that's tiny, and it gets bitten by bugs, the marks will grow with the leaf. So as the leaf gets bigger, the scale of the marks gets bigger. It's as though a big bug bit it, when in fact it was a tiny bug and a tiny mark that grew with the leaf. And it can become infected. So in its later stages, that could have been nothing more than bug damage in the earliest stages of those leaves. The two leaves that have grown recently are here, and this one's just starting. This has also decided to start growing some flipping roots after a long time as well. So coming into growth now. It's got one root that's extended and going up under the moss there, and it's got a new one that it's just grown. So that's to go. And there's another problem that I've seen on Phalaenopsis more than anything else. Again, no logical explanation. Why do new leaves only grow half the size of the others? Well, the simple answer would be, well, you're not feeding it enough, are you? Am I hell? There's no way that's not getting enough food. So what's doing that then? Things going on. Nonetheless, this is now growing. It might even produce a spike later this year. So that'll be a nice easy one to pack, because I think that's the only one that person won in the bid. I think it may have been the only one they bid on and they got it. So that's on the move. That's that one. I'm going to show that one as well because it has similarities. Now if you look at this one, the older leaves are pale, very pale. But compared to the japonica, this is a pale leaf phalaenopsis. This has never had dark leaves. But then it produced a mottled one a while back. Then it produced that one. Now if you look really closely at that, I doubt if I can get close enough for you to be able to see that. Those marks are different. Quite different. But they haven't become infected. And the latest leaf is fine. Still growing, that one. So that one's different. It's got marks very similar to other plants, but they just stayed like that. They didn't get infected. I've got no reasons for half of this. I'm just showing you them. You can think what you like. One way or the other, so to speak. Now this one's going to take some digging out. This is another orchid to go. That's not a happy plant, actually. There's only one person bid on it. Somebody said they would take it off my hands. That's not the same thing. They're not going to pay the price they bid, that's for sure, because it's not a happy plant. So this is my Epidendrum nocturnum. Now this has got several problems with it, in as much as it had 3 canes that have bloomed. And these are sequential bloomers for a while, but not forever. And all 3 of the canes that have done that, I don't think are going to bloom again. And that's the 3 main canes. Now let's look at, what is that? The hell is wrong with those leaves? Underside, top side, there is some pitting. Could that be light? Could it be light that started the problem and allowed, because light burn is cell destruction again, the cells are destroyed, then you get an infection in the damaged area. So was that light? You've got to look at the shape of the plant. Now, in my mind, the plant was in quite a shady area, but that bit wasn't, was it? It sticks up. Nearly 18 inches higher than where the mount is. So that could have been in quite bright light, coming in between a couple of plants or something, over a longer period. Remember we had the reduced shading last year. So, that's that. This leaf, this cane over here, wasn't in so much light. So it's not as bad. But I doubt if it's going to bloom again. That spike doesn't look like it's got any life in it. But I have seen them look like that, and then they suddenly start pushing a bit of green out the end and produce another bloom. Now this has gone mad with the old roots. It is producing a lot of new roots. It has a lot of older roots, some of which are deciding to sprout. So it's certainly got a good root system. And at the moment it's produced 1 new cane. Now, don't forget this cane was started in the middle of last year. Yeah, it's got the red marks again. But they're not so bad nearer the top of the plant. And they're not right. If you look at this leaf that I've got in my hand, it's got some red marks that look just like light. But if you look closer, there's a little bit of pitting as well. Now where this is kept, which is now, it's getting up, isn't it? It's getting higher all the time. Perhaps the light's getting at it again. But either way, if this is light damage followed by infection due to cell damage, I would suggest it gets kept pretty flipping shady from now on. Right, so that's that one. But that could be something entirely different. That got treated with a systemic fungicide as well. Now if it was light that did the damage, the easy cure for that is get it out of the bright light, or give it a lot less. The damage to the cells as a consequence of the light damage, the systemic fungicide should treat and cure, but the leaves can still carry on getting worse after it's been sprayed because the damage wasn't visible, and it becomes visible eventually. So that's that one. Spotty oncidiums. I mean, this Brassia here, Brassias tend to be one of the worst, quite honestly, or they have been for me. This one's quite clean. These are not new leaves here. This is a previous growth. They're not bad at all. And then previous growth behind that. It's not bad. There's a few on the back, not many. But over here, these are the brand new leaves for a brand new growth. There's a couple of spots just starting to show, but if we look underneath, there's some. Yeah? So they're there. Whatever this is, which, as I said, it depends where you look. It'll have different names, whether it relates to the same thing, or whether these are different things. But there's some there, some spots. Cattleyas don't tend to have a problem. See, now the problem on my Cattleyas used to be, and still is to an extent, scale. And I've still got some scale lurking around the base of the plant. Unless they get quite bad and hit a new growth as it emerges and starts to push away, it can take a new growth down, bad scale. Mine aren't bad enough to be able to stop a new growth from pushing on. Yeah. So the bit of scale I've still got around the base of my Cattleyas, I do manual. I get the old cotton wool bud out and get rid of all the ones I can see, put it over to one side, and let that alcohol evaporate and do its job on anything else that's there at watering time. And then I water it once it's dry, once the alcohol's done its job. Right, I want to get at something else now, which means moving some stuff. I'm well prepared again, as usual. Well, I didn't really know which plants I was going to pick on. They're catching my eye as I'm looking. And this one in particular, because of what's going on with the old leaves. Now, this is my prima donna. Yeah, we've got some quite nice new growths. This is last year's new growth. Oh, I'm going to have to get it out, which probably means I'll lose some bark. So if this is last year's new growth, what are these spots about? What are these pale spots about on the leaf? Now, this is a problem that is occurring in quite a few places. I have no answer, and I really, really would like one. It's pale spotting. Now, the two main viruses that are around are the Cymbidium mosaic virus. Also on Cymbidiums you've got the tobacco virus. That's probably got a more scientific name, which could have been a problem when I smoked, but I don't know, if that is a real thing. And then you've got the ring spot, which is often called Oncidium ring spot. Now, both of those viruses are predominant in their associated genus. So the Oncidium ring spot virus really hits Oncidiums bad. It doesn't mean to say other plants in other genera can't get viruses. They still can. What we would call them, I don't know. But look at the state of these leaves. These are really old leaves. These are going to fall very, very soon. Why are they like that? And if you look on the underside of that leaf, these are marks. It's not discoloration. These are physical marks on the leaf. There is indentations where every one of those yellowish patches are. It's damage. That is not bug damage. I don't know of any bugs that can do that sort of thing. Maybe they can when the leaves are tiny and it grows with the leaf. But these are really old canes. These are. But, you know, the prima donna here, the latest new growth, the leaves look fine. But last year's are starting to get these marks again. What is it? I don't bloody know. And I'm reluctant to treat something that I can't put my finger on, if you see what I mean. Because the treatment, in some cases, can do more harm than good. You know, you've got to watch what you're up to. Right, where else? What else? What else suffers? Masdevallias. I hate to say it, but this is my Ignea. Yeah, they're there. I mean, there's a bad leaf. Look at that leaf there. Oops. That's not a happy leaf, is it? What is doing it? So I've got some spots on other types of plants. New leaves coming out, don't look bad. It's something that seems to come with age. Now if it was bugs, they'd hit the new growths. They know where the soft, delicate stuff is. Yes. They know where that sort of stuff is, and they will find it. So, yeah, so a couple of Masdevallias. Most Masdevallias. Delicate Oncidium types. What about Miltoniopsis? Troublesome at the best of bloody times. Well, these aren't too bad. Well, this one isn't. I'm not getting them all out. But, you know, there's some marks there, isn't there? Now, this is the sort of thing I'm getting at. Those just look like some little marks on the surface, don't they? What about the other side of the plant? Sorry, the leaf. What about that side of the leaf? And what about the fact that I'm holding that up to the light now, and where those darker marks are, I can see through the leaf. So that damage has gone right through. Not much. I mean, a big brown spot like that, that's some sort of physical damage. It's dry, it's not going anywhere. I'm going to rip the plant apart. But again, it's in the Oncidium alliance. It's, you know, it's likely to have this spotting effect, which I've looked it up. It's got a name, several, depending on. Sometimes it just seems to depend where you look and what plant it's on. Right. Most of the rest. Now, out of the plants to go, here's another oddity. How about this one then? Tell me what this is. I don't flipping know. Now this is a plant that I can never remember the name of, even though it's in my notes and it hasn't got a tag. It's Linguella, I think. What is it with the colouring on that? That hasn't been in bright light for some considerable time now. The whole look, even the kikis down here, well, they're certainly not in bright light. They're buried in underneath all the other plants, but they are slightly greener than the ones nearer the top. And some of these leaves do have actual damage, but it's not bad, and it's only on a couple of leaves. The leaves up here, some of these growths, I mean, this is a new growth here. Deep purple leaves. Could it be that that's the colour it's supposed to be? It is a strange one. That's a lithophyte. And I've got this feeling that if it's a lithophyte, it probably grows in certain areas. Those areas would have a predominance of a rock type. Yeah? When rocks get wet, they tend to release minerals to a degree. What if it's lacking that, simply because it's not growing where it should be? So that's a possible answer. I don't know. Half the time when you look up a plant and it says it's a lithophyte, it won't give you a clue what rock type it's growing. You know, is it growing on granite? Is it growing on limestone type rocks? You know, there's lots of different types of rocks. I mean, a lot of our native orchids are, you know, chalky limestone type areas. Otherwise they won't grow. That's quite important to them. Right, so there's a few examples of stuff going on. You know, even on this, I don't know how close I can get this and try and get the bit I want you to see close to the camera. Luckily, it's a leaf that's right at the front of the plant. Exactly the same again. Pale patches that are pitted, and round the back too. What is it? Now up here, although that looks like a new growth, it's not. There's quite a bad cane. Again, through to the underside. And these aren't a different set of marks, by the way. They correlate. So if you pick a mark on the top side and turn it over, the same mark appears underneath, the same shape. Exactly the same shape goes through the leaf. That could be important at diagnosing. New growths, I would say, are okay, but they're not. What the hell is it? And can it be treated? Because if it can, I need to get on with it because it's starting to get around now. There's a Vanda that's got some spotting as well that I need to deal with that actually. But that had a hard time, that dropped quite a few of its leaves as well. But it's starting to grow roots higher up the stem now, which means I might be able to cut the manky bit off the bottom. But not all Oncidiums seem to suffer. I mean, if you take this one, you've got previous year's growths, these, yeah, and the new growths coming up. They're all fine. The older leaves, I wouldn't say they're spotted. I'd say they're dying off now, which is expected. And there is a couple of little bits of spots on there, but I wouldn't say those are bad. So it doesn't affect them all, does it? I mean, that's got lovely clean previous year and this year's growth. And before we go down the road on the subject, it is a very, very rare occurrence that I spray my plants. I don't get my plants wet. So there's no overhead sprayers, no sort of downward facing misting systems that leave the plants covered in micro spots of water, sometimes with feed in. My plants stay dry. Now in the heat wave last year, I did actually soak the whole grow room a couple of times. It was dry in a couple of hours. You know, the fans were on full blast and extractor and inlet fan were changing the air constantly. And we're going to have some more of that later this week apparently, up to 30 degrees perhaps. Cheers for that, it makes my work harder. So, some thoughts. I really could do with knowing because it's starting to affect relatively new this year's growths, then whatever it is has not gone away, has not been cured, and is still active. Now, today, or later this week, what I was going to do was wait for the weather forecast to say today it's going to be bright and sunny all day long and it's going to be hot. And then get out here earlier in the day because the sun doesn't come round. I mean, it's just coming round now. What is it now? Nearly lunchtime. Yes. So up till about 11 o'clock in the morning, this is shaded. There's no sun, so there's no heat. Without the sun, it doesn't get hot. And my plan was to, on one of those days where I've got the guaranteed heat and therefore the airflow that goes with it, the drying functions, I was going to get out here earlier in the day and spray the whole flipping place with the systemic fungicide. Now I've got choices. I have 2 systemic fungicides, different brands. Unfortunately, they seem to have the same, or virtually the same lower level chemical. There's perhaps 2 letters different on the end. I'm not a chemist, I wouldn't know why. I also have Physan 20, which is a disinfectant type thing, which can be used to kill funguses and bacteria and things like that on plants at relatively low doses. So I've really got a choice of 2-ish and a third option. The Fisan 20, I had to get a calculator out first time I used it because it's American, it's come from the States, and all the measurements are American measures, which don't work over here. A gallon is not a gallon, you know. It's just all wrong. And when you're working with something that in its strong states will take a human down, we don't play about and get it wrong. So I had to do a lot of calculations, and I have got a value that I could mix up as a spray that would be safe for plants. But as far as I know, being of a disinfectant type nature, it's a surface treater. It treats surfaces, so it's not systemic. In a way, that's probably better because it's an instant kill, possibly with a repeat a bit down the line. But again, if you're talking about bacterial and fungal infections, should repeat treatments actually be necessary if it does its job properly? It's not like bugs that may have the spray may well kill the bugs, but often the sprays will say does not kill eggs and will need a repeat treatment. Anyway, that remains to be seen. I haven't made my mind up yet. Possibly depends on the results that come back from people's ideas from today's chat. No guessing. It's serious stuff. And I doubt if that's helped you, William Green, because all I'm doing is showing that you're not alone, and the fact that this infection that leaves pitting, which is particularly noticeable as distinct pits on the fleshier-leaved type plants like Phalaenopsis. These are deep pits in the leaf, and they go right through. I'll prove it. If you take just below my finger, there's a mark that's like elongated, yeah? If we turn the leaf over, the same mark appears, elongated. Yeah, they go through. So what's doing it? Could do with finding out. Especially as this particular plant is about to go in a box of somebody else. I don't think it's a spreadable thing. I'm not sure. But then where did it come from? If it came from outside somewhere, brought in on a plant, no doubt. And then how has it got to other plants? So perhaps it is spreadable, perhaps it is some sort of spores or something that does get around. We shall see. So I'm almost reluctant to send that out now. In fact, I think I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to hold this one here. Simply because the result of today could come up with something positive, which can then be at least passed on, if not even dealt with. So I think I may hold a couple. There are some people's plants. I wasn't going to show all the plants to go, but we'll just have a look at these two. Now this is the Rhynchostylus gigantea. Now what we've got here is a lousy root system, but we have something that's just decided to grow in the last couple of days. That could be a new root, which would be useful because the roots on it are not that good. What's wrong with this plant is that it's kept bare rooted and it's not good enough. This needs to hydrate far better and far more frequently than I'm doing. So the roots have just gone dormant. They work, they do soak up moisture, this is the newest one, so they do hydrate. But it's not a happy plant, and this has got some spotting. It's old. This is nothing new. This happened a long time ago. And on this one, it was actually bugs nibbling at the new leaves. Now we haven't actually got a new leaf coming out at the moment, and it did lose one a while back. It also bloomed not too long ago. So that one's going to go as it is. And then the other one that lives up there, that also is, I won't say suffering as bad, but it could do with something being done about it being bare rooted, because it's not as good. It needs to grow better than this. This is the Rhynchoredes Bangkok Sunset, and just recently it's decided to branch that root. I don't see any others doing it. I don't know why that's suddenly decided to grow. There's no new roots showing anywhere at the moment. It has grown a new leaf relatively recently. So it puts out new leaves every now and again. Hasn't bloomed since I got it. It was in bloom when I got it and hasn't bloomed since. And that's a long, long time. This one will show its dissatisfaction with the light level by starting with the tiniest purple dots, and gradually the plant will turn purple. If it turns purple, you've cooked it, basically. This is a vandaceous plant that likes a light level a couple of steps down from the true vandas. If you get this one too bright, it will burn. So you need to go careful. This needs something done about its root system to keep it hydrated better. Or just more attention, you know, like perhaps watering a couple of times a day instead of forgetting it now and again, like I do. So that's to go as well. I can't get at most of the other stuff, I don't think. The Flavescens, that can go as is. Nothing wrong with that one. This is just a non-bloomer, Miltonia flavescens, species Miltonia. It's got lots and lots of new growths coming out on it. And the new growths have a reasonable colour too. This did get a little bit pale last year. Virtually no spotting on it. There's a couple there on that leaf, negligible. So this one's growing okay. It's got a flipping good root system. So that goes. That's okay to go. So whoever's having that. I'm not doing names at the moment. One of the mounted twinkles is to go as well, but I'm going to have to go back and look at the video. Given that these two twinkles I think are the same one, the cinnamon one, if one of these was to go, it was obviously going to be the smaller one. So process of elimination, it's probably that one that's to go. And that one has it's two small pieces on a mount, and each piece has a nice new growth. So we've got a new growth coming up this end and a new growth coming up this end, and they will both produce roots. So you know, it hasn't got a bad root system buried in under that moss, but it will produce some new ones with those new growths. So that one can go. There's not a lot of doubling up. There's a lot of people, one plant. The big box will be Insa, who I think's got about 6 plants going in his box, because he's got some he doesn't know about yet. But that Linguella with the purpley leaves, that was Insa's. Don't know whether I can get at it, but he's also taken away one of my best dendrobiums because I promised it, and the fact that it's suddenly decided to grow really well this year, tough. It's now somebody else's. Now this is Primulinum. You can come out. This has 4 new growths, and before I go any further, that's of this year's growth. What is doing this? Yeah. In the main, the new growths are pushing on nicely. Yeah. So 4 new growths, and they've just started producing new root system as well. So there'll be 4 canes to bloom next year. These leaves will fall eventually, and obviously these canes have already bloomed. They're unlikely to do it again anywhere. Although this year, one of a 2-year-old cane actually produced a little cluster of buds in a place it had missed out. So it can push out an odd bloom on a hill cane. So that's going in the box. That will dictate the size of the box, I think. You see what I mean about posting plants off? So you can't. I could just take these old canes off, but it would take the strength of the plant away. Yeah. So somehow I've got to get that in a box, and it's growing that way and hanging down. Yeah. You might be able to just do that with it. Lay it flat. But there's some pots to go in that box as well, so that's going to be fun packing that one. But I'm hoping to get that one done today. I will get what I can done. What I don't get done will have to wait. And as I said, I'm deliberately holding some things now on the grounds that we may get some sensible answers. But yeah, the ordinary little spots that you get on the Oncidium types, I don't think has got anything whatsoever to do with that. I can't believe that is one and the same thing. If something can do that to a fleshy, thick-leafed leaf, what would it do to one of those very thin Oncidium type leaves? So I don't think we're even talking about the same thing there. Anyway, that's today's doom and gloom. And some plants will get packed up today and taken to Postman Pat tomorrow, risking life and limb, mixing with people. Ugh, germy lot. You don't have anything to do with other people, you don't catch a lot, you know. All these colds and flus and all that sort of stuff, just stop mixing with people. It's them that spread it around. Right, that's it for today. This needs to be some sort of collective. Doing research on the internet I can do myself, but it depends on the words you put in, what you get back. You know, I'm going to get, somebody will say, oh, there's a brilliant article on the American Orchid Society. Yes, 20 years old. It's not today's stuff. Oh, there's a brilliant one at the St. Augustine one. Identifies all of the different bugs and all of the different diseases. It's 20 years old. So are the pictures. Is that what we're looking at now? Yeah? So, those are great articles, don't get me wrong. But this is something that's in here. I don't know whether other people have got it, and it's lurking. And I need to get it solved. Once it starts getting on, you know, what are strong, healthy growing plants, but it's there. It's not taking the plant down, but it's there. You need to know what it is. But, it's also difficult to work out how it's spreading as well. But then things like spores spread in the air, and I've got, you know, okay, it's switched off at the moment, but I've got really good airflow going on in here. Spores could be taken off of one plant and spread to the whole grow room very easily. So we need to tie it down and find something that stops it. Yeah? The damage already done can't be repaired. That I do know, whatever it is. Because of the type of damage. You can't undo pitting, can you? You go around with polyfiller and fill them all in and then colour them green, you know, sand them off and everything. You can't fill in holes, can you, on plants? So you need to get it identified at source, precisely, not guessing, and then deal with it accordingly. And not kill the plants in the process, preferably. I mean, a flamethrower would sort it out, wouldn't it? Chuck them on the bonfire, that would sort it out, wouldn't it? That's not quite what I have in mind. So, some thoughts. See what we come up with collectively. There's a lot of people out there, and some knowledge around as well. But it needs to be precise. You know. And don't forget, we always think, right, Roger's got something in his grow room. Has he got something or some things? Are we looking at two separate issues here that are running alongside each other and possibly getting confused? So, have a think and get back to some more cheery stuff tomorrow. The trouble is, problems exist. We all get them now and again. I mean, I watched somebody's video this morning about a dozen plants they're throwing away, various reasons. We get problems, you know. We've taken plants out of their natural environment and created artificial places for them to be. Some of them do great, some of them don't do so good. So, there we go. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.